So I was asked to bring maybe just a newer look or a fresher look to some of the things we're going to try to accomplish. We have been training, like all of you have, for the month of April. Nortek reports just over 1,600 people went through our training, and this was a very popular training. Melanie and Stan and Diana teed this up so we could try to talk a little bit about selling during this time. I have some pretty interesting stats, and I spent some time on a lot of your websites to get some of the details in my brain so that I could talk from specifics and not generals, because this is a very general Nortek presentation and I wanted to customize it to our team AIN. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know who I am. I've been around AIN for a long time. I feel like I'm AIN family. If I haven't met you, I look forward to meeting you because you must be relatively new to the group. Everything that I share with you today, if you'd like this presentation, just ping me and I'll send it to you. You can have it and share it with your team. That's kind of the intent, that we would get much better very quickly, because I think our customers are expecting it. So this is kind of what we're going to talk about, using social media, which I think is a really interesting spot. From what I can tell on your websites, we all need to improve here, including Nortek, which we've really pushed hard in the last probably 5 or 6 months. We've done an amazing change in our social media presence. Talking a little bit about some referrals, partners. We're just going to touch on the installation because we have an entire presentation about how you social distance install, which we're putting on every day next week. I think it's on 4 different times. And then some resources to kind of follow up with what it is we're going to talk about. So specifically in social media, I'm going to review these 3: Facebook, LinkedIn, and something called Nextdoor, which I was not familiar with until this past week. And I seem to be never getting off of it. I was reading it this morning here in my little tiny area, and there are two people looking for a security company because they want a security system. So that's perfect timing because I get to do this presentation today about Nextdoor as well. So using social media, here's some interesting stats. So because you are going to have to visit with these folks online, your ability to make a really good first impression is gone. They don't know you. They're going to meet you for the first time with your head in a little square like mine is right now. So they're going to go back and look you up. They're going to go start checking you out. Why does my builder like this guy? Why does my neighbor refer this company? And here's some pretty interesting numbers. If you look at this and look at that, 72% of the people you're trying to sell to, they trust your online review as much as a friend telling about you. So what's your online review say about you right now? It's an interesting question and a really interesting place to go and start looking at what your profile says online. 68% of the consumers are going to go check you out. So that's 2/3 of everyone you're talking to is going to go check you out before they meet you for a virtual call. And 90% of them read your reviews, and that's an influence why they decide to do business with you. I know we had at our session down in South Beach, we had a company out of Manassas, Virginia, who they worked their tails off to make sure their Google rating stayed between a 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, and they do. They're almost a 5-star review company, and they have a massive amount of effort put through their company to make that happen. And look what happens. 90% of the people are looking at that saying, that's who I want to do business with. And here's just a little bit of information about how these guys work. And you can see how Facebook is just dominant when it relates to where people are going to check you out and where you probably should be going to check out your client. You have their name, you know where they live. It'd be interesting to go see what they've been doing for the last couple of months. I look at Facebook when I visit you guys every time. I go and look at your Facebook accounts to try to make sure that when we're chatting, I'm on topic and on content. And what I learned through this too, and we're going to compare Facebook to LinkedIn, is that Facebook's algorithms work a little differently. So if you're a person who posts a lot on Facebook, then you get seen a lot on Facebook. But your algorithms grow when you reply to other people on Facebook. So when you see my post and you reply to it, your algorithm gets better so more people can see what you're doing the next time you post. LinkedIn's the exact opposite. So it's interesting how Facebook looks at this and says they want you to interact with your circle of influence, and when they interact back with you, your posts get more visits and more views. So when you're doing that, have your teammates, especially on your company Facebook pages, have your employees reply thumbs up, smile, circle, whatever you want to do. But stay interactive with your Facebook because the replies to your post matter big time. And you can see some of the numbers. I'm not going to go through all of them. But if you look at the top number, 2.37 billion monthly active users log in every other day. That's an amazing amount of logins that your customers are using Facebook for. So you want to use that. Facebook's no charge for almost everything you want to do. It's just your presence and your ability to get on there and create a consistent message. You can run campaigns on there. You don't have to pay for the marketing advertising space. You can just go do it. And a lot of our clients are taking advantage of that. And our customers are really starting to grasp this and make it a win. And here's just a couple of easy ideas. If you don't know what to put on there, here's some ideas right alone. Just put on safety tips. Put on what to do in your home. Keep your lights on in the evening time, whatever you want to give them advice for. General maintenance about keep your bushes below the edges of your windowsills. I think that's pretty common. Everybody knows that, but I wouldn't presume it to everybody. And then what happens is, as you start giving more tips, people are more drawn to your site because they're taking advantage of what you teach them. You put posts out of what's going on, and it does start to develop people's understanding of your company culture. Comparing that to LinkedIn, you can see LinkedIn is a little different. They have 260 million monthly active users. That's a massive amount of our customers. 260 million people are on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is pretty interesting. If you go on LinkedIn and challenge yourself, when I first got on there and I thought it was I was hoping it wouldn't turn into Facebook. But now I have about 800, I think, LinkedIn people. And I look at my LinkedIn contacts and I can't really think of who I'd want to trim off. But when I look at my Facebook, I usually get a chance to take 5 or 6 out that I don't want to friend with anymore or whatever. But then LinkedIn seems to be a more interesting place for me to try to get my social presence out there. And not that I do anything so weird, but there's stuff that I like to put on LinkedIn, and there's 700 and 800 people view my post, even if it's something silly. But it's good because in LinkedIn, that's how its algorithms grow. They like to see you make a lot of posts. So the more active you are, the more people see your post, even people that are not in your LinkedIn contact sheet or your contact list. And then same thing, you can use their sales and marketing tool. They call it their sales navigator tool, and it doesn't cost you anything. You just get on there and benefit from your activity. And then again, what they like to see and what works really well on LinkedIn is really quick info videos, maybe a little bit of a success story. Maybe you had a tough install and you show how you nailed it and your company got it in right. Maybe you set, I have a good customer of mine who puts on LinkedIn when they have a record week and they have record installs, because people like to do business with people that are showing success. They ask a lot of questions and get a lot of replies. So those are the kind of things that we see on LinkedIn that are having a lot of success. And people seem to be really digging it. And then this one is the one that I really was surprised by, Next Door. And so it's a little bit like Neighborhood Watch. You put in your neighborhood and your zip code, and you say how big you want your next door to scope and spread out. I was reading mine this morning, and I read about a bobcat that's loose in my neighborhood, which is kind of cool. But I really did. I saw 2 people that wanted a security company referral. I saw one lady wanted someone to come clean her house, which is interesting. But you can see that kind of in a sneaky way that 64 or 67% of the members recommend stuff with their neighbors, and 90% make decisions within 15 minutes of their home. So this is exactly what you're looking for that down home family feel. And it's got 40 million business recommendations from Nextdoor. Who knew? And it's a free app. I download it, put my information in, and my sheet is populated, and I get 6 or 8 different notices every day. I like looking at them. It's my neighborhood. And you can see how fast it's growing. Sorry, I kind of went past it, but there's 25 million active users now. Great place to meet your customers and your neighbors. Then the same thing here. I would use local deals. I would capitalize on any kind of community reviews you can get. It was interesting because the one review for a question about security, the first person said use Vivint. The second person said use Guardian. I've had them for 12 years. Who do you think they're going to go with? I sure commented that I've been with Guardian for 18 years and they're an incredible company. So I gave Guardian a attaboy, even though they're not going to use my product, but they're sure going to get a good recommendation. Okay, so I can't emphasize enough how much I think social media is a good place for you to get started. And then creating referrals. I would tell you that all of you guys tell me that your employees are awesome at referrals, and I hope so. Because in these surveys, 50% of the people said that is the majority or one of the major reasons why they made the decision they made. And half of the people said because it was a referral. Then I go back to my old days of selling and doing sales training and say, your customers want you to ask them to promote you to their neighbors. And we don't do it. Our typical sales guys don't do it. None of our technicians do it. And there's an opportunity that I think we miss because referrals are as simple as long as we create the culture to do it. So I think you need to have an updated referral program. And I think there should be a benefit for someone who goes out there and brags about you to a neighbor, whether you hook them up with some product credit, a free month of monitoring, whatever you think has the most value, and then shape it or change it around a little bit. This month do something and next month try something else and see what works best. And it does make sense to wait for the right time to ask, but when you're on the end of a install or in the end of a sales call and the customer's telling you great job, that's the time to ask. Would you recommend me to your neighbor? Which neighbor? And away we go. And then you can partner up with other guys in the same thing, reading this little Nextdoor app. There's guys providing, there was a guy who needed his house power washed. I just had my house power washed. So I put my guy's name in. Guy needed his screen fixed, pool cleaners. They're all giving each other referrals and they're helping each other out. I hope that's a network that you're part of. And then alarm.com has customer connections, which you can use their feature and do some of that too. We're going to get to alarm.com in more detail here in a second. Tools. So I don't know how many of you have this, but this is probably early days of 2GIG, the most popular piece of literature we had, and it's not literature. So you can go on to the App Store and download the GC2 and the GC3 demo app, and it turns your phone or tablet into a keypad. And it works exactly like you're standing in front of a keypad. It's updated when we do updates. If we do a firmware push, these two Android and iOS devices get updated. And this has been one of the coolest selling tools we have. So you could sell a 2GIG panel anywhere. You don't need literature. You don't need a house. You could be standing, well, not anymore. You could be standing 6 feet away in line at Dunkin' Donuts, and you could still be selling the Go Control panel. So if you don't use this, you should go get it. It's on the 2GIG.dealer app or dealer site. It's also on Android and iOS. You can go get them. They're, of course, no charge, and they update every year. Marketing materials, all of this stuff's available, of course. We're not handing a lot of things out right now. These are all virtual as well. And all of this has been supplied to John Bagney and his team at AIM. So on their virtual brochures and catalogs, we are updated. We've been staying updated and doing a good job with that. And then a weekly blog. We have several weekly blogs now. We have one coming out of our social media team. We have one coming from our product development team. And we have one that just kind of is talking about COVID and what's happening and a lot of the success stories we have out there. Our sales are down like your guys are, but our stories and the wins we're hearing are way up. We've been having amazing weeks. And I've been really impressed with our dealers and some of the creative ways that they're finding customers and doing their thing. And you can see we are updating all of our literature because we think social distance selling isn't going to end in June or July. We think it's going to end in January or February, if it ends at all. So we're going to redo and double up on all of our postcards and literature because we think you're going to need it. And then all of our images and all of our stuff that we can give you to work with your websites will be available in the same mentality of social media and newer and updated thoughts and materials. And our end user installation guides are going to get better. So if you need the customer to do part of the install, or if there's a piece they add later and you want them to do part of the install, our user guide and installation guides are being updated electronically. They already are. And the ones that we print and stick inside the box are happening now. With the manufacturing like we have, everything we touch is about 90 days old when it gets to our country. So it's going to take us about 90 days to add the new installation guides into the actual boxes. But you'll see that changing as well. Instructional videos for end users, that's available now. That's all on our site. We also have that training class being done right now. I think that class goes on 4 times a week, just like this class goes on 4 times a week. We are doing daily webinars. I got the count this morning. We are at 1,658 people have gone through our training in April, which is pretty amazing. We have an incredible training team, but I didn't know they could put that many folks through a webinar. I don't even know how many people can get on a webinar at once. Seems like we would probably be selling out on most of those with people having to wait to get on the next one. Then here's something I'm going to pause a little bit and talk about. So there's some features inside of alarm.com that you can use that are included. I never say the word free, but they're included in what you pay for right now. And the easiest one is on my alarm.com app. If my customer or my monitoring center is crime prevention out of Gainesville, let's say there's something they want to tell me about. And in my opinion, I would be pushing some videos down about front doorbells, because there's people walking around the neighborhood that didn't used to walk around this neighborhood. I had somebody on my front porch riding on a little hoverboard, which I've never seen that kid before. Susan was on a web conference, so she didn't see him, and I pulled in the driveway and he took off down the street, and never seen him since. But I didn't like having a kid on my front porch. I imagine a lot of our customers feel the same. There's also a lot of people home cooking now that haven't been cooking for a while, or maybe they're not very good at it. So I'd send them a promotion on smoke detectors. It's a little bit funny, but they probably need it. And there's probably some other things that we could be doing with garage door controllers and other things that are very simple installs. And the reason I bring up those products, including what we learned from Elliot Eisenberg the other day, the bow tie economist, he said the three hottest markets that are staying active are alcohol, tobacco and marijuana, and guns. That shouldn't scare anybody. But we have a really cool product for a trigger guard and a trigger lock with a motion sensor involved. I think those are the kind of things you should be pushing down with alarm.com, because you can send this information, these promos, right to your customer, right on the app, and it costs you nothing. It is included in what you're charged from alarm.com. They will segment out a geography, they'll segment out a zip code. You can blast your customers with an alert and a promo and be selling to them right now over the internet for nothing. So the engagement levels that alarm.com offers that we should be using are incredible. The customers who I talk to who tell me they use them all the time, I had one tell me the other day, he said, I'm worried that the customer's going to block me because I use it so much. I'm like, oh, that's music to my ears. I think everybody should be having that problem. And then these customers who you already take care of, they're more likely to buy more stuff from you. That's kind of the play. You know, the alarm industry for a long time didn't really want to talk to their customers for fear they were going to drop them. Now it has to shift the other way around. There's too many choices. So they're much more likely to stay engaged when you sell them more product. They want you to be their technology expert, and they want you to keep it up. And then, of course, it generates more referrals. The alarm.com product does a lot of that. They'll email blast for you. We talked about working through their app, and you can work through their web portal to push notifications out as well on any kind of update you want. And in my opinion, you have access to all these customers through their phone and through their panel. They need to hear from you. They want to hear from you. I get a note from crime prevention. I read it, every one of them. Every time I get something from Johnny and Randy and their team, I read the whole thing. I just think it's cool to know. If somebody asks me, I want to know what's current, you know? All right, we'll kind of stop telling you how great alarm.com is, but they have so many features and so many help videos. I think you should go back and see what your reps are offering. They're hosting a ton of classes as well. I've sat through a bunch of them, and they're as good as you can find. When it comes to social distancing on the sanitized install and the technicians assisted, we're teaching this class big time. But I will tell you that the checklist that we put together for our technicians before they go out there needs to have the exact same checklist to protect your technicians before they go in the house. So I think it's a really neat, really socially intelligent, or at least you're considerate of all parties, to where the same way you expect your technicians to behave, you ask your customers to do the same. You need to protect your guys. So when you go out and you ask them, I have an extra face mask, would you like it? Have you had a temperature? How are you feeling? I think it's nice because we're nice people and we're in the industry to show these people that we are there for life safety and their safety. But in addition to that, we need to kind of make it a level playing field, that not just us, not just our techs are in there in mask and booties. But I do think it's important. We had someone in our home the other day that wore a mask to the front door and asked us if we wanted to keep it on or not. And I thought that was pretty nice. That was very considerate. And I think that's how our guys are currently operating when they go out there and install. And I do, even though it seems crazy to bring a box of Clorox and wipe things down when you leave, it's a nice touch. And it is what people are expecting these days. And there's a lot of people very afraid. Our media's got them all, riled up. So I think it makes sense to use all these ideas. And I think it makes sense for you to jump on our website and to go through our trainings to talk about how to do a sanitized install, up to including DIY. So we had discussions, goodness, it's been 5 weeks now, but there are distributors in our space that will turn your install into a DIY for you for very small fees. So they will open the box and program for you. Wave will do it. Anixter will do it. So that is a large chunk of every AIM dealer we have purchases through those guys. And they will open it up, power it up, learn it into alarm.com on your behalf and ship it to the customer with a customized sheet inside that says, your security company has already pre-installed this for you or pre-programmed it for you. Here's how to install it and here's their phone number if you get hung up. So I think there's a reason to kind of be a COVID compliant installation. I think your customers appreciate the fact that you're thinking of them that way. And it also gives you a place to have a fallback in the event the customer says, I don't want it because I want nobody in my house. So I'm sure most of you have looked into those ideas. When I talked to Wave, one of their sales leaders a week ago, probably a week ago Monday, now 2 weeks ago almost, they were caught up. They weren't behind. So they were able to do these things same day. If you got it to them in the morning, they were able to program and ship it out that day. So they weren't delaying sales. I know Anixter is trying to crank up and do the same. I talked to Johnny Schweitzer about it yesterday. He said, we're trying. So I think that they got hit a little harder than they were ready for, but they're catching up and they're getting their DIY installs out as well. So I think it makes sense for you to, when you're in the home, to take care of your customer. But if you can't get in the home, you can still ship the product out and still get a sale and still get an installation. Right now, this is another, when you do that, these are two important products you need to do, because you're going to have probably on a DIY, it's going to be a desktop installation. That's our desktop mount. And you have to change out the power supply. Wave and others will do that for you. They'll just swap out the power supply and put on a desktop for you. Those are the two model numbers. And if any of your team takes the technician training, we ship these out to them for free so they can have a couple, so they can practice and play with what the desk mount looks like and the plug. So everybody who registers for all of our technical install classes, they're getting these sent to them and they're shipping them out the next day. So it's automatically shipped out there. Oh, my dog's saying hi. Hi, Callie. And then our online tools. So we have the same thing. All of our new customer install guidelines are on our website. The installation videos are there. Everything's loaded now. And there is something for some testing and evaluation, so you guys can keep testing yourselves and have your customers give you feedback on how satisfied they were. And we don't really like the word white glove, but they're calling it light glove these days, where you get into the house and you do things a little differently. Then lastly, I want to make sure you know where they are. Make sure you use your resources well enough. With us, we don't do a whole lot of email blasts, and we don't do a whole lot of engineering type correction blasts, because when we have an issue, we just fix it and we send it to alarm.com, who puts it out on their every Sunday night correction or firmware update. So we don't have a lot of them, but when we need to have things corrected, we do it in that manner. For that reason, we don't send a bunch of stuff off of our dealer portal. We are of the mindset that you'll log in when you need it. You get enough email and enough stuff that gets floated around between spam and trash and the like. So these are our websites. We do have a lot of information inside of here, and it's really easy to navigate. If you've never been on it and you go to it, the registration happens pretty quick. You're approved immediately. And then we go back to make sure that your email address doesn't end with @honeywell.com or @qualsys.com. We probably would kick you out after that one, but it's very easy to get registered. And if you registered in the past and you wonder why you don't get much now, you probably need to re-register, because we updated our website about 2 years ago, and some of our folks who hadn't logged in for a long time needed to re-register. But everything that we're sharing is on the website, all the product, all the training, all of the COVID compliant adjustments that we've been making. Everything's hosted there with the idea that you go get it when you need it. So please use that as a resource. We're counting on the fact that you are. you kind of know that Nortek and 2GIG, we're not a big literature company. We believe in digital. As soon as you send out a piece of literature, in my opinion, it is outdated. So other than the live demo that you can download that we talked about earlier for your phone and your tablet, and the little bit of lit that we have that people seem to like, the ones that look exactly like our panel because it's the same shape and size, those are about the extent of it. But everything we have is online, everything you need. If you do need literature, you're going to see on the site that they want you to pay for it. That's where you're going to want to send me a note so I can send it to you at no charge. I'm going to put up a list here in a minute of every single territory manager we have. And they also have the same ability to send you literature for free. We just don't send a bunch of lit out for free unless we know exactly who the customer is and where it's going to. That's why we run it through one of my teammates. And you can see, there we go. So there's all the marketing material. There's every one of the pieces we just told you that I just told you about, how to download the iPad or the iPhone app, how to download the Android app, and everything else you'll see is locked inside of our website. And then the training. So I know everybody's doing training. AIM Group's doing training. Nortek's doing training. I get invited to a bunch of our competitors' trainings. I have seen that lots and lots of these trainings are sold out. So I think you guys are doing a pretty amazing job to keep your guys up and running. One of the ones I haven't seen marketed so much, but I can tell you that Team Nortek is doing, is we're going on the Alarm.com Academy training. Alarm.com Academy, you have to be invited in, but your Alarm.com rep will surely do that. And if you haven't done it, or if you haven't done it lately, it's worth the 12 hours of your time that it takes. It's self-paced. I did mine and took the test and passed amazingly. But it was a good refresher. There's a lot of things I forgot. So the additional trainings is out there, and I seem to always try to pull Alarm.com along with us, or we want to be attached to Alarm.com for training because they are very good at it. And we copy as much of their stuff as we can. And I truly believe that the more Alarm.com features you sell, the more 2GIG products you'll sell. So when you understand geofencing and you understand some of the things that Alarm.com offers, and you teach that to your customers who will fall in love with it and hardly ever stop using it, you get a stickier customer and I get more boxes moved, which is win-win for everybody. So if you need more details, this is where you go. Our landing page will sign you up. You can sign up for multiple classes at the same time. We surely could fill your calendar up. We have classes on just about everything we sell, and we had an amazing April. I would bet May will drop off a little bit because I think a lot of people have already signed up in April, took the classes, but we have slots, we have openings. If you miss one for a certain day, it'll tell you which day has the next availability. And our trainers are obviously top notch. We have 12 trainers and they're taking turns on who's doing the training so we don't burn them out too bad. And then, as I said, once you guys go through the training for anything that has to do with the social distancing installation, we ship them out back, the desktop mount and the different plugs. So if a homeowner got this, they would know exactly what it is, and all of your technicians would be very clean on what it is they're doing. And this, I surely don't expect you to copy, but this is a recap of all of our team. Our company is growing. We actually have 43 headcount that we're hiring, not all in sales. That got frozen by COVID, but Nortek has had an amazing end of 2019 and beginning of 2020. We expect for this COVID to kind of kick our butt for a little while into second quarter and sneak into the beginning of third quarter, but inventory wise, we're as strong as we've been. We have product. Our back order is below $40,000 right now for the entire country. So 40,000 to us can get cleared up in about an hour of manufacturing or shipping time out of our facility in Memphis. So I will tell you that Nortek, and especially the 2GIG Go Control and Elan side of the business, is very healthy. Our manufacturing sites in China are back to normal, as normal as we're going to be. We're at about 85% capacity, and we are actually asking them to slow down because we have enough product to handle most of our sales, we think, into Q3. And we want to have enough inventory for our distributors because we're watching our distributors placing minimal orders because they're trying to get down to 3 or 4 weeks on hand. So we need to beef up a little bit because we know they're going to start blowing some big orders too, because I fully believe you guys are going to rebound and have a lot of sales coming out of June into July, August, September, and we don't want to run out. We also don't want to have 8 months worth of inventory. We want to have 4. So we typically have 90 days worth of product on the water, which we currently do. So we're in great shape on product. Some of our competitors can't tell you that. Some of our buddies who are manufactured in Mexico have been shut down as non-essential. We have 2 facilities in Mexico. We are shut down as non-essential down there as well. We just have backup facilities for those, so we're still in business. But I can tell you that Team Nortek's taking care of their business. We are watching very closely on all of this, and we are absolutely open for business. So I think I'm coming pretty close to being finished. You have tech support lines, I think you know that. And if you're good, Mel, we could probably stop and ask if anyone has any questions or anything they would like to add.
Certainly, we do have one from Jack at Procom. He said, great presentation, John. Can we brand the installation videos with our logo?
Oh, great question, Josic. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. All of our videos are designed for you to own the front of it and the back of it. I think they call it a donut. So you get your name on the beginning of the video and you get your name on the end of the video, but I will confirm that and get you an answer.
Are there any other questions at this time? Please type them into the chat box for John.
Oh, should I be looking at Mel or you got it?
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
AJ did say great tips on content relationships is important.
Yeah, I would challenge you. I do this session on Sunday nights. I sit in on this guy. He's a professional sales guy, and maybe just something I learned. He talked about what platform you should put your company on. So clearly, AIN Group likes Zoom. Nortek likes WebEx. There's a few others out there. One of them's called Blue Jeans, and there's a couple other out there. And I do think that selling over this space is going to be a permanent. I listened to Randall Duncan's company and how Jaime talked about the sales and how incredible his team has done on sales over the platform. So if I was in a market like Houston where it's hard to get to some of these appointments, I would sell over the web all the time. But this guy that I learned from on Sunday nights, Bill Stinnett, he said, if I were you, I would invest in a really good web camera. Now, I did. It's on back order like everyone else. But a brand new camera that compares to your laptop camera was $99. That's a nothing. And the quality of the picture is so different that I went ahead and ordered one. I know Amy Wesley, our buddy from HP, she already got hers in. And she ordered the same exact camera that I wanted to order. And similarly, think about your sound. So a lot of us are wearing headphones for sound in that little device down here right now. And if you're like me, you forget you're wearing it, so you stand up and you rip the ear hole out of your laptop, and that damages that speaker, and it damages your microphone. So mine's broken. So I'm not wearing headphones right now because of that reason, but I did the same thing. I went ahead and bought a microphone, and it's just a little tiny cone microphone. It looks like an ice cream cone upside down. And similar, it was so affordable that for under $200, I'm going to look and sound better than my competitor. That's a value. I think that's good. But I think you also want to become really good at Zoom, although I fumbled on it here for a minute at the beginning because I couldn't find the right screen, and really good at WebEx to the point where you practice it. Practice it before you get on a call with your customer, so you're not fumbling over it for your first couple of times, because a lot of our team and a lot of us who are going to put guys on social media or on web conferences and say, go sell, are they're going, I've never done that. How do I do that? And I know Ain has taken a real approach. I know Bagney, who just popped up on the screen, he and I've talked about this over and over on how do we do a how to sell video for our sales team, because this is totally different. It's going to be exciting. And once you get good at it, you're going to love it. But there's a few things to think about when you're setting your platform up that are going to be hugely important to your success this way.
So Beth at Ranger said, great job, John. And John from AIN Group had his hand raised. So John, I unmuted you. You're able to ask your question.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Hey, John Feldman, good presentation. Right. And I think you're spot on about the social end of things and the community awareness. I just wondered if you could share with the group some simple, easy ways to gain more identity in their community if they haven't been doing that up till now.
Oh, that's a great call. This is the other thing John and I were talking about. And I'll start with, and I'm not going to say anybody's name, I promise, but I'll start with one of the things I did. I spent some time on your websites. 10 specifically, AIM dealers, 8 of the 10 are board of directors, BOAs. And I was looking for a couple things. I wanted to see if you had pictures of alarm.com and their feature sets on your website. And I was happy to tell you that 6 out of 10 do, which means 4 of you don't. And maybe you don't like alarm.com and you don't want to promote them. That's fine. But they matter and people search that. But the one thing that John and I were talking about, and I'll use this as an example because if you want to go see, in my opinion, the right way to do it, there's a company out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Some of my NC and SC buddies are already knowing Big Red here, but they're called CPI. And when you read CPI's website and all of the partnerships they have, it will take you a while. They partner up with little leagues. They partner up with the paramedics, the teachers, the firemen. They take care of ambulance workers. They are some of the first group that's going out and working on first responders and taking care of them when they get back to their offices and the like. They are part of YMCA's of America. They've decided that they're going to put their brand everywhere you look. And like for a security company, and you get referrals from the police department, that's pretty solid. You get referrals from the firemen and the ambulance and all of the different groups that support that. It's really solid. CPI does Little League. CPI does the Carolina Panthers. So not everybody has a budget to go promote yourself in front of a professional NFL team, but they are well known because their marketing touches everybody. So John and I were talking, and I thought about this. My son, Matthew, who's 16 now, I went and looked before this call. He has 5 t-shirts from the YMCA. He happens to have a buddy who is with Hendrick Honda. So he wears these shirts and represents Hendrick Honda on the basketball court all the time. That's all he wears. He wears these shirts, his YMCA shirts. Hendrick Honda paid $300 to sponsor those shirts. So for a $1,500 investment, not that Matthew's going to be on TV and the like, but he's out there doing the right thing. And it was really probably the one thing John said to me that really struck a chord was I thought about how at the end of the season, because one of the years I was the coach, and Mr. Hendricks sent a pizza, and we had a little party, and we got to eat pizza with the kids, and it made it to the little tiny newspaper in Bradenton, Florida. But today, that doesn't hit the newspaper. Today, that goes on your social media feed. And you turn that out there, and now thousands of people see your name and what you're doing for the price of pizza and maybe a little trophy or a ribbon. That you can't find a better way to do it. And I love grassroots promotions. I love stuff like that. I think if you used to do it and you're thinking about doing it again, now's the time when other people are kind of pulling back and trying to hoard their cash, which is smart. This is where your investment in advertising is going to pay off 10 times because you're out there getting 10 times the view when your competitors are pulling back trying to figure out if they're going to make it through the month. So I think anything you can do like that grassroots is super effective. And I think Begbie and I probably could have talked about it for 5 hours because we both got passionate.
Thanks, John.
Okay. I have somebody asking if the webinar will be run again. Once they started, the phone started ringing.
Anytime.
And he closed a 2 gig GC3 customer during the webinar.
Can I send that guy a pizza to his team?
Really?
Thank you very much. Clearly another brilliant AIM dealer.
Peter, I'm not sure the webinar will be run again, but we did record it. So
I'd be happy to do it again for your team anytime.
Okay. Thank you, John. We will be posting this to our website. So if anyone needs to have any of their team members watch it that weren't able to, it'll probably be up, if not later this afternoon, by Monday for sure. Are there any other questions out there?
Melanie, I think that's important to repost or whatever, because one of our AIM dealers just texted me that a dolphin went by and they became very distracted. I'm not even joking. I love my AIM family.
Well, so this has been another sales webinar training brought to you by the AIN Group. We hope that all of our customers are feeling that we're putting some value out there during this uncertain time. John, we thank you so much. Your presentation really has given a lot of people some things to think about and to focus in on, especially during the time where they have a little bit of extra time to do that. So thank you so much for your time today. If you do have any other questions, you can forward them to me and I'll make sure that John gets it. And John, somebody just said, thank you. This was one of the best webinars they've had in the past several weeks. So we
so
all
much.
echo that. We wish you guys a healthy and safe weekend, and we'll be there for you. You just let us know how we can help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.